Hello, Joyce Yasika is my name. You are welcome to Time to Change Me in 10 Minutes. Your lecturer, discussing with you a diverse life and a complicated heart. Folks, to maintain a thankful and a happy thought about someone urges you in meeting them again. This brings a sound mind and a joyful thought. But because there's no space in the hearts of people today, it stands up to the vice versa. The inability suffers great emptiness and confusion. Modernized preferences, which has diverse the fashion, jobs, etc. of the individual, is unequal. In the ages, a lot of things could be done very easily. But today, because already there's enough jobs, not even a simple thing can be done easily. Societal diverse, which has flooded our hearts with a lot of unnecessary things, becomes very difficult for one to even know the angle at which their own heart flows to. So many uncertain hearts brings a lot of diseases to us. One can suffer from diseases like hypertension, diabetes, insomnia, etc. if the heart is never certain on even a thing. If you are affected by such diseases, the intake of pill even increases almost every day. If your heart is certain, then you become free from diseases and even live a happy life always. Today, our life has become so much complicated that the society doesn't give space to rest. Much effort is being made for individual to have peace, but then it becomes very difficult for the thoughts to be settled on one thing. As people doesn't have a settled thought and lives in much confusion, this even urges them to decide the extreme things like committing suicide. Folks, although suicidal hearts occurs to each and every one of us in life, but let's ask ourselves, does everyone commit suicide just because they feel like dying? No. A well-settled heart thinks about the condition at which the loved ones will pass through. This steers them away from committing suicide just because they feel like dying. You see, if your heart is not settled, then the negative thoughts that sets in only drags you to have negative results in all things. But if the heart is settled, then although the thoughts may come, you can fight it. Folks, I want to discuss with you a story entitled Inherited Land. There lived in a village a man with 3 sons. As this man aged and was about to die, he shared his property among his children. To the elderly, he gave 5 acres of sand land. To the second and third, he gave a fine, fertile farming land. The elderly son wasn't satisfied at all with the sandy land the father gave him. He complained over and over again. He thought, what could I do on such a useless sandy land? Can I grow? Could cocoa grow on such land? Mangoes, pears, or beans? Nothing can even grow on a sand land, he concluded. With much complaining, he met a man one day, and the man asked, "Do you want to sell such a sandy, useless land to me?" The elderly son replied, "Yes." And the man asked, the elderly son replied, "Yes." These two negotiated as to how to sell the land. The elderly son sold the sandy land to the man at a very cheap price. The elderly son sold the sandy land to the man at a very cheaper price. After he took the money, he thought to himself, "I'm very wise to sell such a useless sandy land to this man. But this man is so foolish to buy such a useless sandy land." The elderly son took the money, went away, deciding on what to use the money for. Later on, to his surprise, he saw trucks going up and down on the same useless sandy land. He wanted to know what was going on, so he approached. Just at the lot, he wanted to know what was going on, so he approached. Just at the lot of the entrance, he saw on a signboard, $50 per truck. He noticed that even a tract of land is very expensive than the amount he sold the whole sandy land. This young son became so much frustrated and confused, pounding his chest, went out with a lot of emptiness. The father thought of the poor health of the elderly son, so he gave him the sandy land, thinking, even without much work, my son can live comfortably and will not suffer in life. But because this elderly son couldn't think deeply, couldn't also maintain a thankful and a happy thought about the property the father gave him, he ended up empty because he sold out a treasure at a very cheaper price to the other. Folks, if the heart is not well settled, if we couldn't decide well, we end up the same way as this elderly son. So, if deep thinking is difficult, then you have to plan your life very simple every day so that this will pave way for a deep thinking before you decide. I hope at each time of our life, we think very well. We become so much thankful also with the things around us, the things that comes our way before we decide. Until then, bye-bye. See you again.